From makeshift wash plants and second-hand gear to gold piles worth millions, the journey of the miners on Gold Rush is the ultimate underdog story. The show, which first aired on Discovery Channel in 2010, has taken viewers deep into the world of modern-day gold mining. What began as a risky adventure with little experience turned into one of the most watched series about grit, fortune, and back-breaking work. Over the years, the stakes have grown bigger, the equipment more advanced, and the weigh-ins, well, they've gotten massive. In this video, we're diving into the biggest gold hauls in Gold Rush history. These aren't just normal cleanouts. These are the kind that make history. Back in the early seasons, the crews were struggling just to survive. Take Todd Hoffman and his crew, for example. In Season 1, their dreams were bigger than their skills. They headed to Porcupine Creek, Alaska, with used equipment and hope in their hearts, but the reality was harsh. That season, they barely managed to scrape together 14.64 ounces of gold, which was barely enough to cover fuel costs. Still, it was a start and the beginning of something much bigger. It's a gold. In all the years of Gold Rush, from the Klondike to the Colorado Mountains to South America, the miners have found rich grounds. We are cooking, but nothing like this. The pans the Hoffman team are looking at right now could be the start of something very big for their future. If they can get 101 more ounces before the end of the season. By Season 2, the Hoffman crew was mining at Quartz Creek in the Yukon, and their efforts improved slightly. They mined 93.50, still far from their dreams, but it was proof they were learning. In Season 3, the Hoffman crew partnered with Dave Turin and set up 2 operations. This time, things really picked up. Between both teams, they managed to mine 83 ounces, a major leap from where they began. For the first time, viewers saw what was possible if things went right. While the Hoffmans were paving the road, a young man named Parker Schnabel was about to step in and take gold mining to a whole new level. Parker started out helping his grandfather, John Schnabel, on his mine, and soon decided to strike out on his own. In Season 4, at just 18 years old, Parker took a huge risk. He leased land in the Klondike and put everything he had into it. His goal was to mine 1,000 ounces, and that's exactly what he did, ending the season with 1,029 ounces of gold worth over $1.4 million. That moment was a turning point, not just for Parker, but for the whole show. A new star was born. We'll start working on Smith Creek. We're cracking that open. Yeah, it's pretty relieving. In Season 5, Parker doubled down. He upgraded his equipment and expanded his crew. His hard work paid off. That season, Parker mined a jaw-dropping 2538 ounces, worth nearly $3 million. He quickly went from rookie to top producer, proving that age was just a number in the mining world. In Season 6, he raised the bar again with 3,372 ounces, and in Season 7, he hit over 4,300 ounces. Every year he set bigger goals and somehow found a way to hit them. But the real explosion came in Season 8. Parker's mine delivered an incredible 6,280 ounces, nearly double of what the other crews were doing. And the best was still ahead. In Season 9, Parker and his team went Allen. Their season goal was 7,000 ounces, and not only did they hit it, they surpassed it, pulling out 7,427.25 ounces of gold, valued at close to $9 million. It was one of the biggest weigh-ins in Gold Rush history at that point. And then came Season 12, when Parker truly made history. That year, his crew mined an unbelievable 839.75 ounces of gold, pushing past all previous records. To give you perspective, at gold prices around $2,000 per ounce, that's over $60 million worth of gold in one season. These weren't just numbers, they were legacy-building moments. They showed how far Parker had come from a teenager with borrowed gear to a gold mining legend. Of course, Parker didn't do it alone. A big part of his success came from his high-performance wash plants. If you've watched the show, you've probably heard of Big Red and Slurfer. These machines were designed to process massive amounts of dirt with minimal losses. Big Red, in particular, was behind many of Parker's biggest hauls, including several cleanouts that topped 1,000 ounces in a single week. In fact, one of the most iconic moments in the series was a cleanout from Big Red that delivered 1,140 ounces in one go, the largest single cleanout Parker had ever seen up to that point. While Parker was dominating, another miner was making waves in a very different way. Tony Beets, known as the Viking, took a more old-school approach. He bought massive old gold dredges, restored them, and got them running again. Dredges are giant floating mining machines that chew up earth and spit out gold. They were used heavily in the early 20th century, but had mostly been abandoned. Tony brought them back, and with great success. In Season 6, Tony's newly refurbished dredge mined 737 ohms, a modest start. But by Season 7, his dredge operations expanded, and his team pulled in 2,176 ohms. Season 8 saw another leap forward with a total of 3,659 ohms min. By Season 9, Tony aimed for 6,000 ohms, but ended up just shy at 4,400 ohms. Still, it was an impressive number, especially given the cost efficiency of dredging compared to traditional mining. What made Tony's strategy unique was not just his choice of equipment, but his long-term thinking. Dredging was slower but cheaper. Once set up, a dredge could run with minimal crew and fuel, processing tons of dirt every day. This meant steady, predictable gold, something that's rare in the mining world. His commitment to this method paid off in later seasons. By Season 13, Tony's operations produced 5,295 ohms, keeping him in the race with Parker and proving that there's more than one way to mine gold successfully. Another familiar face who left his mark on Gold Rush was Ness. Rick started as Parker Schnabel's right-hand man, but later branched out to start his own crew. In his very first season as a mined boss, Season 9, Rick mined 115 ohms, beating his own goal and silencing doubters. The following year was tougher. With equipment failures and frozen ground slowing him down, Rick's team only managed 547 ounces in Season 10, but he bounced back. In Season 11, they hit around 1,080 ounces, and by Season 12, Rick's team delivered their best performance yet, 2,447 ounces of gold. Rick's style was more hands-on and personal. He didn't have the budget Parker had, and he didn't use dredges like Tony. But what he lacked in money, he made up for with hustle and heart. His small crew often worked long hours fixing machines themselves and pushing through difficult terrain to stay in the game. At this point in Gold Rush history, the numbers were no longer small time. The top miners were producing thousands of ounces per season, and even a single cleanout could weigh in at over 500 ounces. These cleanouts became legendary. Audiences waited every episode to see what the final gold count would be. Would it be 200 ounces, 600, over 1,000? The tension built up, and the weigh-in scenes became some of the most exciting parts of the show. As the years passed, Gold Rush grew into more than just a show. It became a record book for modern mining. Fans started tracking season totals, individual weigh-ins, and cleanout records. Viewers weren't just watching for the drama anymore. They wanted to see numbers, and not just any numbers, massive numbers. It became a tradition to end each season with a final gold weigh-in that would either mark success or failure. Some seasons, those totals broke records. Other times, they left crews scrambling to cover costs. But in every case, these weigh-ins told the real story. Take Season 12, for example. Parker Schnabel and his crew mined a jaw-dropping 839.6 2.75 ounces of gold, the largest single-season total ever recorded on the show. At gold prices hovering around $2,000 per ounce, that's over $16.6 million in gold. No one had ever mined that much in one season before, not even Tony Beets. It was a moment that made Parker a legend, not just in Gold Rush, but in real-world mining circles, too. His ability to run multiple operations, manage large crews, and invest in high-performance wash plants made all the difference. Parker wasn't just a kid chasing gold anymore. He was running a full-blown industrial gold operation, but he wasn't the only one pulling in big numbers. Remember Schnabe? That's the wash plant Parker introduced as an upgrade to his previous system. It was designed than anything he'd used before, and it worked. On top of that, Parker's older wash plant, Big Red, continued to deliver incredible cleanouts week after week. Some weeks, the crew would bring in 500 to 700 ounces. And on one legendary episode, Big Red pulled in over 1,140 ounces in a single cleanout, more than most miners could hope for in an entire season. Meanwhile, Tony Beets wasn't sitting still. Known for his iconic red beard and tough attitude, Tony continued investing in dredging and large-scale equipment. Over time, his operations got bigger and more refined. In one of his best seasons, Tony's crew pulled in 5,295 ounces of gold. That's still short of Parker's all-time record, but it placed Tony firmly in the upper ranks of the Gold Rush elite. His unique method of using refurbished dredges helped keep costs low while moving high volumes of material. That strategy may have been slower to ramp up, but in the long run, it proved reliable and profitable. Of course, not every miner on Gold Rush reached Parker-level success, but even smaller hauls can be significant, especially considering the odds these crews face. For example, in one season, Ness and his tight-knit team managed 247 ohms. Compared to Parker, that might seem small, but it was a major win for Rick. He didn't have the giant crews, the massive budget, or the sophisticated wash plants. He ran a lean team, often repairing old machines himself, and every ounce they mined was earned with sweat and grit. Rick's journey is a fan favorite because it reflects the challenges most real-world miners face. Limited resources, short timelines, and unforgiving ground. Then there are the monster cleanouts, the single weigh-ins that leave viewers speechless. Over the years, we've seen a handful of these truly jaw-dropping moments. One of the biggest ever was from Parker Schnabel's crew, when they brought in 1,140 ounces of gold in a single cleanout from Big Red. That was a historic moment, not just for Parker, but for the entire show. Cleanouts that big aren't supposed to happen often. And when they do, it changes everything. Suddenly, a whole season's success might come down to one game-changing haul. It's the kind of moment that turns hard work into history. Another huge single-week moment happened when Ness hit a 220-ounce cleanout during a very tough season. That moment gave his crew the confidence boost they needed and reminded fans that even when the odds are stacked against you, one good week can turn things around. Tony Beets also had his moment in the spotlight with a 280 dredge cleanout, which made headlines because it proved that old-school methods still had a place in the modern mining world. Let's also not forget some of the biggest total numbers ever tracked. Over the full run of the series, Parker's cumulative total has crossed the tens of thousands of ounces. According to show data and fan reports, Parker has mined over 83,000 ounces of gold across all seasons, a number that's staggering when you stop to think about it. That's over 160 million in gold. Tony Beets isn't far behind, with an estimated career total of over 60,000 ounces, combining his dredge seasons and traditional operations. Even wash plants have their own totals. Schnabe has mined more than 21,800 ohms, while Big Red has crossed the 25,700 ounce mark. These numbers aren't just fun facts. They're records that show how far the series and the miners have come. What makes these weigh-ins even more impressive is the context. Gold mining isn't like running a factory. You can't control the ground. Sometimes, even with the best equipment, you find nothing. Rocks clog your soul, machines break down, and weather shuts you down. Every ounce pulled out of the ground is a fight against nature, machinery, and time. That's what makes the big weigh-ins so satisfying. They're not just about money. They represent victories over everything that tried to stop the crew from succeeding. Over the years, the Gold Rush weigh-ins became more than a segment at the end of an episode. They became emotional moments. Crews would gather around tired and dirty after a long week to see if their efforts paid off. Sometimes there was cheering. Sometimes there were tears. The gold scale didn't just measure ounces. It measured dreams, disappointments, and everything in between. For viewers at home, it was a way to connect with the hard work and hope behind every shovel of dirt. Even though the show has introduced new faces and new minds around the world, including spin-offs in Australia, Guyana, and South America, the weigh-ins remain the heart of the story. They're the final chapter of every mining week. They tell us what worked, what didn't, and what the next move should be. Whether it's 50 ounces or 1,000, every weigh-in counts, and the biggest ones, they go down in Gold Rush.